Good morning, everybody. I'll make this quick so we can all get back to working the phrase pussy riot into as many conversations as possible. The following comments are taken from editions of Mail Call printed in the Herald Mail from August 6th to August 17th, 2012, which can be read online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Williamsport. You know, President Obama is like a modern-day Robin Hood. Take from the rich who's earned what they have, and give to the poor who's really never did anything. Good analogy, very sound reasoning, because as we all know, every single poor person owes their poverty to their own laziness, while every single wealthy person got there purely through hard work, and it really is just that simple. And you know, it's really, really good that the world actually works this way, because if it didn't, if one's economic station was the result not only of work ethic, but of larger factors mostly out of one's control, then to argue that the right of the wealthy to hold on to every penny they ever earn supersedes the right of the poor to, eat would just be unfathomably callous. I attended the Clear Spring Carnival Monday night, and I have never seen a country band as good as this one that was W.T. Fleming and No Fences. And my brother-in-law was there at the carnival, and he just came back from Branson, Missouri, and he said he didn't see anything down there that was as good as these guys were. Now that's doing something. Morgansville. Better than anything in Branson. You know, I'm sure if Mr. Fleming heard your brother-in-law say that, he would smile and say thank you and collapse in a heap of self-hating sobs the next time he looked in a mirror. I'm not a politician, so I can make a statement without any worries about any retaliation from anyone. Marriage should be between a man and a woman, period. Sharpsburg. Yeah, because there aren't nearly enough politicians willing to make that statement. Dude, blatantly anti-gay, anti-same-sex marriage campaigns helped Republicans get elected to a majority in Congress in 1994, helped George W. Bush get elected President of the United States twice. I mean, there's a reason why so many of us treated President Obama's endorsement of same-sex marriage as a really, really big deal, while we just sort of shrug and roll our eyes whenever yet another Republican decides to pander to the bigoted rubes in his base. It's because the former was a long-hoped-for display of leadership and balls, and the latter is just religious right boilerplate. See the difference? No. I have 3 words that'll save this country. Made in America. Hagerstown. Well, you're not supposed to tell me. You give me clues, and I have to guess. Haven't you ever played Password before? It's not even a word. A phrase. Passphrase? Who the fuck wants to play that game? Hagerstown caller, not only do you obviously not know the difference between automatic, semi-automatic, and single-shot rifles, but you also don't know the Colorado murderer carried a variety of weapons besides rifles. Nor do you realize the Second Amendment and our Second Amendment rights have nothing to do with and aren't dependent upon what weapons hunters do or don't use. And to use your own what-if argument, if that theater hadn't barred people legally licensed to carry, and 2 military members, from carrying guns, that vile, cowardly murderer wouldn't have been able to massacre a group of unarmed people. So there you go. Frederick, Maryland. I would hope that those 2 military members, had they been armed, would have known better than to start shooting into a dark theater that was filling with tear gas. I mean, look, I'm by no means a gun person. I've had no firearms training of any kind other than a hunter safety course I took when I was 13. But even I know you don't shoot at a target you can't see, even if it's shooting at you. Did they not have that course in Frederick? Here we go again. It's summertime and people are going to church in short shorts, flip-flops, and rags. The word respect and modest is still in the dictionary. There are dress codes for schools, the White House, and on cruise ships and so on, but no dress code for churches. And people do have better. Hagerstown. Whatever, you know God loves it, the old perv. He didn't impose much of a dress code in the Garden of Eden now, did he? No, quite to the contrary. He got pissed and kicked them the hell out as soon as they decided maybe it was time for him to put some fucking clothes on. And who was Mary, if not the sweetest little piece of forbidden fruit strutting around first century Palestine with her little toes sticking out, her sandals and her robe draped just so? You think God didn't see that shit? God made that shit. Just like he made those fresh, post-pubescent girls in the flip-flops and the short shorts who come skipping into the sanctuary every Sunday morning, smelling of overbearing mall perfume and pretended innocence, sitting together in the back pews, giggling furtively to each other as they steal glances at the sinewy, ruggedly handsome man on the cross behind the altar. God sees them, and I'll tell you a secret. He loves it. You want to cock block him? I hope you like hot weather. Does anybody really know their history? Comparing our current president to Abraham Lincoln, what are they thinking? Lincoln was a Republican and wanted to push through the Emancipation Proclamation. The Democrats at that time wanted to end the war and let the South do what the South wanted to do. In other words, they did not want to abolish slavery. The country was divided, but to compare Lincoln and President Obama, well, it's like comparing North Pole and the South Pole. Read your history. Hagerstown. So you're saying it's not appropriate to compare President Obama with President Lincoln because Republicans and Democrats of the 1860s were different than they are today? But I think that's actually one of the points that people who do compare Obama to Lincoln are trying to make, that the bigoted, recalcitrant Democrats of Lincoln's day are a lot like the Republicans of today. I'm amazed to see all the residents of Washington County rejecting and not wanting these children to have free lunches and have health care in the schools. If we're trying to talk about a waste of taxes, let's talk about everything an inmate gets when he gets incarcerated. Food, all of his medical needs, hospital stays. Do you get that for free? Hagerstown. Good point, and to me, the solution to this problem is obvious. You just make talking in class a felony punishable by incarceration. The kids get to eat, the schools are less crowded, works out perfectly for everybody. We need to get more guns into the hands of sane people to stop the people who have guns who are insane. North End. You know what I find baffling? Every time there's a lurid gun crime that grabs our attention for a few days, there are always people who say things like, well, why didn't anybody else there have a gun? Is that really the first question we should be asking? How about, I don't know, why did the crazy person have a gun? Doesn't it make more sense to focus on keeping guns out of the hands of the insane people as opposed to putting more guns into the hands of sane people? And what about sane people who don't want guns? Like me, I am a little squeamish about shooting another person. I mean, I don't think that makes me a coward. I think it's... And finally, from Hagerstown, you cannot legislate the poor into prosperity by legislating the wealthy out of prosperity. What one person receives without working for, another person must work for without receiving. You cannot multiply wealth by dividing it. And when half the people get the idea that they do not have to work because the other half is going to take care of them, and when the other half gets the idea that it does no good to work because somebody else is going to get what they work for, that is the beginning of the end of any nation. You got that email forward too, huh? Unfortunately, those words are no more impressive today than they were in 1984 when Adrian Rogers first wrote them, and that's because they're dishonest and fear-mongering. The goal is not to bestow prosperity on the poor by stripping it from the wealthy. The goal is to provide something, not prosperity, not a life of ease and plenty, something to those who have nothing. Do I think that we can legislate the poor into prosperity by legislating the wealthy out of prosperity? No. Do I think we can lift more people up out of destitution and desperation by asking for a little bit more from those who could afford to give a lot more? Yes. And I wish we would. Thanks for watching.